The night was cold on the broken alien planet. Wind moved across the dead trees, carrying dust and strange sounds. Human rescue officer Jace Raylan walked slowly through the ruins, checking his scanner. He had finished his mission for the day. His team was already returning to the base, but Jace stayed behind for a final safety sweep. Everything was quiet, too quiet. His helmet showed no life signs, no heat signatures, no movement. But then, a short sound hit his comm device. Just 3 seconds. A shaking voice, weak, full of fear. Don't come. Leave, please, leave. And then silence. Jace froze. The voice was not human. It was soft, light, almost musical, an alien girl. For a moment he thought maybe the device glitched, but the fear in that voice was real. It felt like the sound of someone crying in the dark. He replayed it again. Don't come here. Leave. Why would someone warn him to go away? A normal distress call always asked for help, not the opposite. Jace contacted HQ. I received a signal. Someone is out there, HQ replied quickly. We have no record of survivors in that sector, probably interference. Return to base. But Jace did not believe it. He trusted his instincts more than any report. He had served in many rescue missions. He knew the sound of someone who was in danger, and that voice. It felt like someone trapped between life and death. Jace stood still for 5 seconds. Then, he made his decision. He turned off HQ link. He activated his military exoskeleton, a powerful suit that made him stronger, faster, and able to carry heavy weight for long hours. Whoever you are, he whispered to himself, I'm coming. He followed the source of the signal into the darker part of the forest, an area his team avoided because scanners rarely worked there. The trees were tall and twisted. Some of them looked burned. Others moved slightly, as if something touched them from underneath. The deeper he went, the heavier the air felt. His suit showed rising energy spikes, but he couldn't see anything alive. Strange. He muttered. Then he saw it. A faint blue light behind a collapsed stone structure. It flickered like a dying flame. Jace approached carefully. He raised his rifle but didn't point it yet. He walked around the broken stones, stepping over shattered crystal pieces. When he looked down, he stopped breathing for a moment. There she was, an alien girl lying on the ground, half covered in dust and broken leaves. Her body was thin and shining faintly with blue marks. She had feathers on her hair and along her arms, soft, delicate feathers glowing in the darkness. Her skin was pale silver. Her chest moved weakly. She was alive, but barely. Jace rushed forward and knelt beside her. Hey, can you hear me? The alien girl's eyes opened just a little. They were bright violet. But instead of asking for help, she looked scared. Of him, she shook her head slowly. No, leave, please leave me. Jace felt confused. You're injured. I'm here to help. She tried to push his hand away, but she was too weak. You don't understand. If you stay, you die. Her voice broke at the end, as if the words hurt her. Jace scanned her quickly. Her body temperature was dropping. Her heartbeat was unstable. She had several deep wounds on her legs, and there were strange black marks on her neck, as if something had grabbed her. Whatever attacked her might still be close. Jace knew he had only 2 choices: leave her and follow orders, or save her and risk whatever danger she feared. It wasn't even a choice for him. He lifted her gently, activating the exoskeleton support system. The suit adjusted her weight so he could carry her easily. When she felt him lifting her, she panicked weakly. No, you don't know what's coming. They will track me, and now they will track you. Her voice faded again. Who are they? Jace asked, but she didn't answer. She fell unconscious in his arms. Jace looked around. The forest had become completely silent. No wind, no distant animal calls, just the sound of his own breathing. And then, A low echo appeared from the darkness. It sounded like a growl. But not like any animal he knew. Deep, slow, wet, almost like something huge inhaling. Jace tightened his grip around the alien girl. "I don't care who is tracking you," he whispered. "I'm not leaving you here." He activated the suit's sprint mode, preparing to run. But before he could take a step, dozens of tiny glowing eyes appeared between the trees, watching, closing. In Jace's heart raced. The voice she sent earlier suddenly made sense. "Don't come here. Leave." She wasn't warning for herself. She was warning for him. Now it was too late. He held her tight, ready to run for both their lives, and the hunt had just begun. The glowing eyes in the trees did not move at first. They simply watched. Jace silent, patient, like hunters deciding when to strike. Jace took a slow breath. He tightened his grip on the alien girl in his arms. Her body felt colder now, her breathing shallow. She was running out of time. "Stay with me," he whispered. Creatures stepped forward together, not fast, not loud, just slow. Confident, they knew he had nowhere to run. Jace activated his exoskeleton's armor shield, a thin blue layer covering him and the girl. The screen blinked. Energy, 68% warning. Multiple HOSTLE. She stepped backward carefully. That's when the girl suddenly woke up, her eyes full of panic. Double quotes. "No, no. Don't fight them," she whispered. "You can't win." Jace looked down at her. "I don't need to win. I just need to get you out of here." She shook her head weakly. "You shouldn't have picked me up. You don't understand what I am." Jace didn't care. He had carried wounded soldiers, civilians, and even alien allies before. Saving lives was his job. His heart never allowed him to leave someone behind. But this girl, Lyra, was different. She wasn't just scared. She was scared for him. One of the creatures suddenly crawled into view, a tall, thin, shadow-like beast with 4 glowing blue eyes and long, sharp limbs. Its skin was dark and cracked, like burnt stone. It tilted its head slowly, studying Jace. Like a curious predator, Lyra's voice broke. "They marked me. These creatures can feel my energy. They won't stop until they take me back." "Back?" Jace repeated. "To where?" She didn't answer. Her eyes fell to the ground as if she was ashamed to say it. The creature moved closer. Jace activated thrusters on his boots. "Sprint mode," he commanded. The suit responded instantly. Power surge. Boost activated. Jace shot forward through the forest, dodging trees, branches, and broken rocks. He held Lyra close to his chest, making sure no sudden movement harmed her. Behind him, the creature screamed, a high, sharp sound like metal scratching metal. Then they gave chase. Jace could feel them closing in. Their footsteps were almost silent, but every time he looked back, there were more of them. Lyra held onto Jace's armor, her fingers trembling. "You don't have to save me. Please," she whispered. "I don't want anyone to die because of me." Jace kept running, his voice steady, calm. "I decide who I save, not you." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. They reached an open cliff area. Sharp rocks, broken ground, and the night sky glowing purple. Jace checked his map. He still needed to cross 2 more sectors to reach extraction range. But then his HUD flashed. Energy, 41% heat level. Araya Sanji. The sprint was draining the suit too fast. Jace slowed down, stopping beside a fallen log. He gently placed Lyra against it. Her breathing was rapid now, her feathers dimmer. Jace knelt in front of her. "What happened to you? Why were you alone in that ruin?" Lyra looked away. "I escaped," she whispered. Jace frowned. "Escaped? From who?" Lyra's hands shook. "From the ones who made me." Jace stared at her in silence. She looked fragile, scared. Nothing like a threat, but sometimes the universe created Beautiful things for dangerous purposes. The forest behind them rustl, they were coming. Lyra grabbed Jace's arm with surprising strength. You should leave, you still have time. If they take me, you live. If you take me with you, they will never stop chasing you. Jace shook his head. That's not how humans work, she blinked. Humans? Yes, Jace said with a small smile. We carry people who need us, even when they don't want it. Lyra looked at him like she didn't understand the kind of person he was. Maybe she had never met someone who chose danger for her sake. Another creature howled in the distance. Lyra flinched. You don't know what they'll do if they catch me. Then we make sure they don't catch you, Jace replied. He lifted her again. Her feathers brushed against his armor, soft and cold. Jace stood up and prepared to run again. But Lyra spoke one last truth. They follow me because of my energy signature. Because I'm not just one of them. I was created to lead them. Jace froze. The creatures weren't hunting her. They were coming for their queen. Before he could say anything, dozens of glowing eyes lit up the forest around them again. Closer than ever, Lyra whispered, tears forming in her violet eyes. Now you understand why I begged you to leave me. Jace tightened his grip around her. Good, he said. Now they'll understand who they're chasing. And with a burst of exoskeleton power, he launched them back into the dark forest as the creatures erupted into a full feral hunt. The forest swallowed Jace and Lyra as he ran deeper into the darkness. But no matter how fast he moved, the creatures stayed close too close. Their steps were almost silent, but their glowing blue eyes flashed between the trees like moving stars. Jace adjusted his grip on Lyra. Her body felt lighter now. Not because she was healing, but because she was losing strength. Stay awake, he said softly. She tried, but her eyelids lowered every few seconds. Behind them, a creature roared loud. This time, the sound echoed through the forest like a signal. Jace's helmet displayed. Multiple hostiles approaching from east and north. Estimate 30 plus. Jace's breath grew heavy. He had carried injured soldiers before, but never with monsters chasing him. Never with a girl who didn't want to survive. Lyra finally spoke in a broken whisper. They're not angry. They're confused. They can smell my signature. They think I am returning. Returning to what? Jace asked. Lyra turned her face away. To the throne they built for me. Jace blinked. She didn't look like a queen. She looked like a scared, fragile girl who wanted to disappear. Suddenly the ground beneath Jace shook. Thud thud. Something large was moving to block his path. Jace skidded to a stop. A massive creature, twice the size of the others, stepped into the moonlight. Its skin was cracked stone. Its jaw was split in two, drooling glowing blue liquid. Its eyes, all four of them, locked on Lyra. Her breathing stopped for a moment. They sent a guardian, she whispered. What does that mean? Jace asked. It means they think I'm worth bringing back alive. The smaller creatures circled behind him. The guardian roared so loud the trees shook. Jace knew he had only seconds. He activated the exoskeletons, jump boosters, thrust mode. Oh, and he leaped high into the air, clearing the guardian's head. His boots hit a broken cliff path. Rocks shattered beneath him, but he kept running. The guardian climbed after them, each movement shaking the ground. Lyra looked at Jace, fear and confusion mixing in her eyes. Why won't you leave me? You don't even know me. Jace didn't stop running. I don't need to know you to save you. But you will die for nothing, she cried. No, he replied. I'll die for someone who deserves a chance. Lyra had no answer. No one had ever said something like this to her. They reached a narrow valley, sharp rocks on both sides, tall cliffs above. The path was long and straight. Bad for hiding, perfect for ambush. Jace used the straight ground to speed up. Exosuit speed. Boost 67% output, but his energy bar was dropping fast. 0.37%, 35%, 32%. Ahead the valley curved left. But something moved in the shadows, more glowing eyes. They were surrounded again. Lyra pressed her face into Jace's chest armor, her voice shaking. "I'm a mistake, Jace. I wasn't born. I was made. They wanted a leader who could control them, but I refused. I ran. That's my crime." Jace replied calmly, even though monsters were closing in. "You're not a mistake. You're someone who didn't want to hurt others." Her eyes filled with tears. No human, no alien had spoken to her with such kindness. Suddenly the Guardian roared again. This time right behind them. Jace didn't look back. He leaped onto a broken slope and climbed upward using the exoskeleton's grips. The Guardian slammed into the cliff below, sending rocks flying. One rock hit Jace's back. Damage, 9% impact. Abesorb. Lyra gasped. Her feathers fluttered weakly. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If they take me alive, they evolve. They grow smarter. They become unstoppable. That's why I told you to leave me." Jace finally looked at her. "You think your life only brings danger, but maybe your life can end that danger." She stared at him, unable to speak. The Guardian climbed again. Jace reached the top of the cliff and ran toward the shattered remains of an old bridge. Below the bridge was a deep ravine glowing blue with strange energy. Jace paused for 1 second. The bridge was broken halfway. If he tried to jump it, he would only have one chance. The creatures behind him screamed, almost angry now. Jace tightened his arms around Lyra. "You trust me?" he asked. Her voice trembled. "I don't trust myself." "That's fine," Jace said softly. "You only need to trust me." And he ran. Full speed. Boosters on. Every power cell burning. The cliff edge came closer and closer. 10 meters. 5 meters. 2 meters. Jace jumped for a moment. They were in the air, floating over glowing blue energy. The ravine swallowing the world below them. Behind them, the Guardian leaped too, its claws reaching for Jace's leg. But Jace activated one last burst. Power surge critical mode. He flew forward and hit the other side of the broken bridge, sliding hard across the stone. The Guardian fell into the ravine below, screaming as blue energy consumed it. Jace lay still for a moment, breathing hard. His HUD blinked. Energy, 18% suit heat, dangerous level carry load. Lyra looked at him with wide, stunned eyes. "You carried me through that jump," she whispered. "No one has ever carried me through anything." Jace sat up slowly. "Well, get used to it." But before he could stand, Lyra's eyes widened in terror. "Jace, behind you." He turned. 3 creatures stood on the ridge above them, watching. Waiting. The hunt was not over. The 3 creatures on the ridge did not jump immediately. They only watched, silent, patient like hunters studying their prey. Jace slowly rose to his feet. Lyra's breathing was weak but steady. The jump had drained her remaining strength, and she leaned against his chest with half-closed eyes. "We don't have time," she whispered. "They will call more." Jace checked his exoskeleton's energy. Energy, 17% cooling required. Warning. Overheat risk. He didn't have the luxury to rest. He lifted Lyra again and turned toward the narrow path leading away from the bridge. The air here felt colder. The ground was covered with glowing blue moss, reacting to every footstep. Lyra shivered. Jace wrapped an armored arm around her, but before he could move, one of the creatures on the ridge screamed a long, sharp cry that echoed across the cliffs. Lyra flinched. "That sound. It means they found our direction." "Good," Jace said calmly. "Then we'll change it." He sprinted left, deeper into the mountains. The creatures jumped down behind him, but Jace didn't look back. He ran across broken stone paths, climbed steep slopes using the exoskeleton's grip claws, and dodged falling rocks as the creatures followed. Every minute felt like an hour. Every step felt heavier. And Lyra. She wasn't fully conscious anymore. Her head rested against his shoulder, her feathers cold and dull. After an hour of running, the night finally shifted. A pale blue dawn rose over the cracked mountains. They had survived the first night, but there were still 3 days to reach. Extraction. Jace found a hidden cave under a large rock. He ducked inside, just enough space for him and Lyra. He placed her gently on the ground. Lyra opened her eyes a little. You shouldn't stop. If I don't cool the suit, we won't make it another hour, he replied. Jay switched the exoskeleton to low heat mode. The lights dimmed. The humming softened. The cave felt safe for a moment. Lyra looked at him, confused. Why are you doing this? You heard what I am. I heard what you said, Jace replied. You didn't want to lead monsters. That says enough. Lyra blinked slowly. She wasn't used to kindness. Not from humans. Not from anyone. She touched one of her feathers gently. Several were falling out now. My body. It's shutting down, she whispered. Then we move faster, Jace said. But Lyra shook her head. No. Even if you reach the extraction point, the creatures will sense me. They will attack your base. They will destroy everything. You can't take me there. Jace stared at her. You want me to leave you again? I want you to live. Jace leaned closer. You think my life is worth more than yours? Lyra didn't answer. Outside, the wind shifted. Jace's helmet flashed. Movement detected. A NORTH there. Creatures were tracking them already. Jace knelt beside Lyra. I told you before, I decide who I save. Lyra's eyes softened with fear and something else. Something she didn't have a name for. Trust. Even if she didn't understand it. Jace lifted her again. As gentle as lifting a child. I'll carry you until we are safe. She placed her forehead against his armor, whispering, No one ever carried me before. Not even the ones who created me. Jace didn't respond. He simply stepped out of the cave and began running again. The Teetable Mountains became forests again. Black trees, long shadows and glowing spores floating in the air. Jace stayed silent, listening for any sound. The exoskeleton's power dropped to 12%, then 10%. Lyra drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she spoke languages Jace didn't understand. Sometimes she whispered secrets. At one point, she murmured, I was made in a tank. They taught me to command, not to feel. Jace felt her voice shake. I ran away on the day they tried to crown me. I didn't want to be their queen. Jace tightened his grip. You're not their queen, not anymore. But Lyra didn't agree. That's why they chase me. They don't understand freedom. A loud crack echoed through the forest. JSCE spun. A massive creature leaped from the trees and slammed into the ground behind him. Its claws dug into the soil. Its 4 glowing eyes fixed on Lyra. JACE switched to combat stance. I don't have time for you. The creature lunged. Jace dodged, letting it swipe past him. Then he used the exoskeleton's mechanical arm to punch its jaw, sending it crashing into a rock. But more moved in the shadows. 3, 5. Jace ran again, not because he feared the creatures, but because Lyra couldn't survive a fight. His breath grew heavier, his steps slower. The exoskeleton vibrated with every impact. Energy, 7%. Lyra weakly opened her eyes again. We won't make it. Yes, Jay said, breathless but firm. We will. She looked at him for a long time, as if trying to understand how someone could be so stubborn. But then she whispered something new. If I die in your arms, the creatures will stop. They only want me alive. Jace almost stopped running. That's not an option. Lyra closed her eyes again. You talk like a soldier. I am a soldier. No, she whispered weakly. "You talk like a hero." Before Jace could answer, a massive shadow fell across the forest path. A second guardian stood ahead of them, bigger, smarter, and this one didn't roar. It simply lowered its head and began walking toward them. Slow, confident, deadly. The hunt had entered its final stage. The second guardian stepped out of the shadows like a living mountain, silent, slow, sure. Its cracked blue skin glowed brighter than the others, and its 4 eyes locked directly on Lyra. Not on Jace, on her. Lyra froze in Jace's arms. Her body tensed, every feather standing on edge. Her breathing stopped for a heartbeat. "No," she whispered. "They sent Helfer." Jace adjusted his stance. "You know it?" Lyra nodded slowly, fear spreading across her face, a kind of fear Jace had never seen in her until now. "He was made before me," she whispered. "He trained me, protected me, prepared me for the throne." Jace frowned. "Then why is he hunting you?" Lyra's voice cracked. "Because I ran away. And a guardian cannot fail his purpose." Jace lifted his weapon, but Lyra grabbed his hand weakly. "No, you can't fight him. He learns. He studies. Every attack makes him stronger." Jace kept his eyes on the massive creature approaching them. "Well," he said softly, "that makes 2 of us." Lyra stared at him, confused, shaken, moved. The guardian took another step. Its claws dug into the earth. Its chest pulsed with glowing veins. The smaller creatures gathered behind it, forming a silent army. Jace looked down at Lyra. "You said they evolve when you're alive. But what happens if we get you away from them?" Lyra swallowed. "They lose purpose. They fall apart. They become wild again." "Good," Jace said. "Then we get you out alive." "But if we fail," Lyra whispered, "they gain everything. They gain strategy. They gain mind. They gain me." Jace wasn't afraid, but Lyra was terrified, because she wasn't just a girl running from danger. She was the key to every predator's evolution. The revelation just moved backward, step by step, holding Lyra tightly. "Jace," Lyra whispered, "you don't know what I truly am. Then tell me." She closed her eyes, gathering the last of her strength. "I am not just one of them. I am not just their future queen." Her voice trembled. "I was created by their scientists. I am a war design." Jace's grip tightened. Lyra continued, tears forming in her violet eyes. They wanted a leader with a mind like theirs, but with emotions, compassion, strategy, the ability to understand other species. They wanted a general who could win wars without destroying everything. Jace listened carefully. "For years," she whispered, "they kept me in glass rooms, injected me with training memories, forced me to command simulated armies. They praised me when I won, punished me when I refused." Jace felt something break. Inside him, an anger he hadn't felt in years. "You were a prisoner," Lyra nodded. "A prisoner taught to act like a queen." Jace shifted her weight as the guardian approached closer. "And when the day came?" he asked. "The day they tried to crown me." She looked away. "I saw the army kneeling, thousands of eyes glowing, thousands ready to obey my every command." A tear slid down her cheek. "That's when I ran. I didn't want to lead monsters," Jace whispered softly. "You're not a monster." She looked up at him, eyes full of disbelief. "You don't know that." "I know enough," he replied. "You ran from power. Good people do that." Lyra pressed her forehead against Jace's armor. "You don't understand how dangerous I am. I'll decide that." "The Guardian speaks without words." The Guardian suddenly lifted its head. Its 4 eyes blinked in a strange pattern, once, twice, 3 times. Lyra's voice shook. "He's giving a command, a final warning." "What is he saying?" Jace asked. "That if I return now, he will spare you." Jace almost laughed. "You think I'd hand you over to that thing?" "He means it," Lyra whispered. "He was made loyal to me." Jace looked directly at the Guardian. "Well, I wasn't, and I'm the one carrying you." Lyra gripped his armor tightly. "He will fight to the end for me." Jace stepped back again. "Then he'll learn what humans fight for." The escape routed Jazz's HUD. Energy, 6% battery critical coolant. Although he had minutes left, maybe less. He scanned the terrain quickly, a narrow canyon to the west. Steep, dangerous, but it led toward the extraction zone. "We run," Jay said. "We won't make it," Lyra whispered. "He is faster, and the others will follow." "Not if we separate them." Lyra lifted her head slightly. "How?" Jay smiled behind his helmet. "You're not the only one who learns." He slammed his foot against the blue moss. Flash. A shockwave of glowing spores rose into the air. The Guardian stopped. It tilted its head. Confused. JACE triggered the exoskeleton's emergency flare. A bright, burning streak of red laser light flew into the sky and burst. Creatures shrieked. They hated the color red. It disrupted their senses. Jace lifted Lyra again and sprinted toward the canyon. Behind them, the Guardian roared, enraged. Lyra turned her head weakly. "They will chase you forever now." "Good," Jace replied, breathing hard. "Let them try." She stared at him as if you were something impossible, something unbelievable. "You humans," she whispered. "You carry your death with courage." "No," Jace said softly. "We carry the people who matter." Lyra blinked. Her voice trembled. "Do I matter?" Jace didn't answer with words. He simply held her tighter, behind them. The Guardian began to run. And the world shook. The canyon narrowed as Jace ran, walls rising high on both sides like giant stone teeth. Wind cut through the passage, cold and sharp. Behind him, the Guardian's footsteps hammered the ground like thunder. Thud, thud. Toad's step carried pure fury. Lyra clung to Jace's armor weakly, her breath uneven. Her feathers had lost almost all glow, turning pale and fragile. She could barely lift her head. "Jace," she whispered. "Your suit. It can't handle this speed anymore." Jace checked the HUD. Energy, 4% core heat. Critical warning. System shutdown. She was right, but stopping was not an option. They reached the end of the canyon, a wide-open edge overlooking a massive drop. A cliff that stretched out into the sky. Far below, waves of glowing blue mist moved like a living ocean. Jace stopped only for a moment. He scanned the sky. Where was the extraction ship? The Guardian roared behind him, closer than ever. Jace turned and saw it charging through the canyon, claws tearing through stone. Eyes locked on Lyra with terrifying devotion. Lyra weakly lifted her head. "He's not coming for me," she whispered. "He's coming to punish you." Jace tightened his grip on her. "Well, I've been punished before." The last of the suit's power. Jace placed Lyra down on a flat stone at the cliff's edge. She protested weakly. "No, don't put me down. If he reaches me." "He won't," Jace said. He stepped forward. The wind pushed against him. The cliff behind him. The Guardian in front. This was it. Jace pounded his fist against the exoskeleton's emergency override. Suit mode. Overdrive power output, 120% warning. Suit failure in 3 minutes. Armor glowed bright blue, veins of energy spreading across the metal plates like lightning. Lyra's eyes widened in horror. "No, you'll kill yourself." Jace didn't look back. "That's fine." The Guardian reached the open cliff and slowed its pace. It stood tall, studying Jace. It recognized him not as prey anymore, but as a challenger. The canyon trembled with its growl. Jace raised his fists. "Come on then." The clash of monster and Uchaman. The Guardian charged. Jace sprinted toward it, his suit burning every last drop of energy. He slid under its first swipe, sparks exploding as claws scraped his armor. The heat nearly melted the suit's joints, but Jace didn't. Stop! He jumped, using the exoskeleton's boosters, and slammed his fist into the Guardian's jaw. A bright crack shot through its skull, but the Guardian didn't fall. It turned and swiped again, this time hitting Jace directly. Crash! Jace flew backward, slammed into the cliff rocks, and collapsed to one knee. Damage 41%, spine support WEA Kalira. Screamed weakly, "Jace, stop! Please stop fighting!" But Jace rose again. He wiped blood from his lip. "You trained her," he said to the Guardian. "Well, now you deal with me." The Guardian charged again. Jace ducked, dodged, rolled under its belly, and plunged his arm into the soft part of its lower chest. Electric sparks burst from the armor into the creature. The Guardian howled but grabbed Jace with its huge claw and smashed him into the ground. The suit cracked. Jace's vision blurred. Energy. 1% system reboot HFY. He struggled to move. His legs felt numb. The Guardian lifted its massive arm for a killing blow. Lyra screamed, voice sharp and desperate. "Stop!" Everything froze. Her voice wasn't just a voice. It carried a frequency, a command. The Guardian hesitated. Its claws trembled. Its eyes blinked rapidly, trying to resist the instinct to obey her. Lyra dragged herself forward on her elbows, every movement painful. "Please," she whispered. "Don't hurt him." The Guardian shook violently. Its programming fought itself. Serve the Queen. Kill the threat. Serve the Queen. Kill the threat. Jace forced himself up. He didn't have the strength left to fight again, but he had one choice. He grabbed the emergency blade from his belt, a small energy knife used for cutting metal, and threw it straight at one of the Guardian's glowing eyes. Shing! The blade pierced the eye. The Guardian roared in agony. Lyra cried out. She could feel its pain through their shared link. "Jace! You're killing him!" Jace stared at her, breathless but firm. "I'm saving you." The Guardian stumbled backward toward the cliff edge, losing balance. Lyra reached out her hand. "No, I don't want this. It's the only way." Jace whispered. The Guardian fell. It disappeared into the glowing mist below. Silence followed. Only wind and Lyra's trembling breath. The EXTR in the sky suddenly brightened. A human extraction ship appeared through the clouds, engines roaring as it lowered toward the cliff. Jace collapsed beside Lyra, his suit flickering off completely. She crawled closer to him, tears falling. "You will die. You used too much power." Jace gave a weak smile. "But you're alive, so it's worth it." She touched his face gently with her cold fingers. "You humans, you protect those you love, even before you know them." Jace whispered, "I protect those who need me." The extraction ship hovered above them, but Lyra suddenly stiffened, her eyes turning wide. "Jace." "Something is wrong." He barely managed to speak. "What, now?" Lyra looked toward the canyon. Her voice shook. The Guardian didn't die. The extraction ship hovered above the cliff, engines shaking the air, ropes dropped. Lights flashed. Human soldiers shouted for Jace, but Lyra didn't look at the ship. She stared at the canyon. At the place where the Guardian had fallen. Her voice was barely a whisper. "He's not dead. He can't die like that. Guardians don't break, they rebuild." Jace tried to lift his head. The suit was dead. His muscles trembled. Even breathing felt heavy. "Lyra," he said softly. "It's over. We made it." Lyra shook her head slowly, her feathers trembling. "No, something is coming." A deep vibration rolled through the ground, low, slow, and powerful. Then another. The blue mist below the canyon swirled, glowing brighter as something massive moved through it. The Guardian's silhouette began rising, but it was different now. Its cracked skin pulsed with new patterns. Its broken eye had reformed. Its claws had grown longer, sharper. Lyra gasped. "It evolved from the fall. It learned from your attack." It is becoming what they feared, Jace gritted his teeth. So, now it's stronger? Lyra nodded with dread, and angrier. You heard its purpose. It will not stop again. The soldiers on the ship yelled, "Get them up now." The final chase. Jace tried to stand, but pain shot through his legs. The exoskeleton was dead weight now. Lyra grabbed his arm. "Leave me," she whispered. "If the Guardian sees me on the ship, it will follow the ship. It will attack your base. Your people will die." Jace shook his head weakly. "I didn't carry you for 3 days to drop you here." "You don't understand," Lyra cried. Softly, "I was created to lead them. If the Guardian reaches me, it becomes unbeatable." "That's exactly why I'm not leaving you," Jace said. She looked at him hurt, confused, shaken. Why do you care so much?" Jace gave a tired smile. "Because you ran from power. That makes you more human than half the people I know." Lyra's eyes glimmered. But then, the Guardian leaped onto the cliff. The stone floor cracked under it. "Wait!" The soldiers panicked. "The creature is on the cliff. Take off! Take off!" But Jace shouted, "No, don't leave us." The Guardian roared, a sound filled with rage and betrayal. Its 4 eyes locked on Lyra. Its claws dug into the ground as it prepared to charge. Jace tried to lift his arm, but he had nothing left. He had no power, no strength, just will. The Sigillera suddenly stood up, shaky but determined. Jace's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" She stepped in front of him. "I will stop him. I am the only one who can." "No," Jace whispered. "Don't you dare." She smiled weakly, a small, broken, beautiful smile. "You carried me when I wanted to die. Now let me carry something for you." Before Jace could pull her back, Lyra stepped forward, raising her shaking hands toward the Guardian. She released a soft, sad sound, a call filled with her true nature. A queen's voice. The Guardian froze, all 4 eyes widened. The cliff went silent. Lyra whispered in her native language, words Jace couldn't understand. But the Guardian did. It lowered its head. It trembled. It stepped toward her, slowly. Obeying its queen. Jace understood instantly. She was surrendering. "No," Jace whispered. "Lyra, don't do this." She turned back to him one last time. Her voice gentle. "Thank you for seeing me as more than a weapon." And she stepped toward the Guardian. The HFY Sci-Fi, but the Guardian did not bow. It suddenly lifted its claw. Not to harm Lyra, but to mark her, to re-establish control. Lyra cried out in pain as the energy mark reformed on her shoulder. The Guardian growled, claiming her again. JACE single quotes as heart broke. "No!" He shouted. He forced his broken body to move. He crawled. Then he dragged himself. Then he stood on shaking legs. He had nothing left to fight with, but he had something stronger, his choice. He wrapped his arms around Lyra from behind, pulling her away from the Guardian. The Guardian roared and raised its claw to strike both of them. Lyra screamed, "Jace! Go back, you'll die." He held her tighter. "I told you, humans carry people who can't walk." A bright explosion blasted the cliff. The extraction ship had fired its stun-cannon. The Guardian stumbled backward, losing balance, and fell off the cliff again, this time deeper into the glowing mist. But this time, it did not rise. The mist swallowed it completely. The legend Arimane's soldiers pulled Jace and Lyra into the ship. Jace collapsed on the floor, finally losing consciousness. Lyra knelt beside him, touching his face gently. She whispered, "No one has ever fought for me like this, not even my own kind." Hours later, in the medical chamber, Lyra sat quietly beside Jace's bed as machines worked to repair his body. When he opened his eyes, she smiled softly. "You saved me," she whispered. Jace shook his head weakly. "We saved each other." But before he could say more, alarms echoed through the ship. Scientists rushed in. Where is she? One shouted. Jace looked around. Lyra was gone. She had disappeared from the chamber, without a trace. Only one thing remained on the bed next to him, a single glowing feather. Still warm. Still alive. And outside the ship's sensors. Something huge moved in the glowing mist again. The story was not over.